Despite differing approaches and rhetoric, there are several common policies and strategies that both Donald Trump and Joe Biden have pursued toward China. Here are some key areas of overlap. On trade and tariffs, both administrations have imposed tariffs on Chinese goods to address trade imbalances and counter what they view as unfair trade practices. While Trump initiated the trade war with significant tariffs, Biden has largely maintained these tariffs and has sought to use them as leverage in negotiations. On technological competition, Huawei and 5G, both administrations have taken steps to limit the influence of Chinese technology companies like Huawei in the global 5G infrastructure due to national security concerns. Export controls. Both have imposed export controls on sensitive technologies to prevent China from gaining access to advanced U.S. technologies that could enhance its military capabilities. On human rights and sanctions, both Trump and Biden administrations have sanctioned Chinese officials and entities over human rights abuses in Xinjiang, Hong Kong, and other regions. They have criticized China's actions and implemented measures to hold China accountable for these abuses. On military presence and alliances, Indo-Pacific strategy, both administrations have emphasized the importance of a free and open Indo-Pacific region and have increased military presence and activities in the South China Sea to counter China's territorial claims. Strengthening alliances. Both have worked to strengthen alliances and partnerships with countries in the region, including Japan, South Korea, Australia, and India, to counterbalance China's influence.
I think that they have been largely successful. I think there's no question that huge numbers of people have been lifted out of poverty in China over the past 4 or 5 decades. And from a Chinese perspective, this is a wonderful thing. And I would imagine that the Chinese government will go to great lengths to sustain those gains and to bring those people who are left in poverty out of poverty. So this is a great accomplishment. And in terms of running the economy, few countries in the history of the world have done a better job of growing their economy than Chinese leaders have done. They have been wildly successful. That's why, in my opinion, we now have this strategic competition. I think, to be honest, the biggest problem the Chinese face moving forward in terms of domestic politics is population decline. Proliferation is one of those issues, for example. I think that the Chinese and the Americans and the Russians will all cooperate to limit nuclear proliferation. I think with regard to climate change and pandemics, you're likely to get significant cooperation on those fronts as well. But the key point is that the overall relationship between the United States and China will be one of competition, strategic competition. And it'll be a dangerous competition because there will always be the possibility that that competition will turn into a war. So you'll have Trump 2.0. It's very interesting, but a lot of people thought that when Biden took office that he would go back to the China policy of the Clinton administration, the Bush administration, and the Trump pursued. But what's happened is that Biden has largely followed in the footsteps of his predecessor, Donald Trump. There's no evidence that there's any significant difference between Biden and Trump, except for one thing, and that is Biden is much better at working with allies than Trump was. Trump was at heart a unilateralist, and Trump really had little use for our allies. I think there's no question that rhetorically, American policymakers and American elites in general will emphasize that the competition between the United States and China is about ideology. It's about two different political systems competing with each other. And this is analogous to what happened in the Cold War when difficulty dealing with this state. There's been no change in the political system in China. So what's going on here is that to mobilize political support in the West.
On investment restrictions, both Trump and Biden have implemented restrictions on Chinese investments in the United States, particularly in critical industries and infrastructure, to protect national security and prevent technology transfer. On intellectual property and cybersecurity (IP) theft, both administrations have taken a hard line on intellectual property theft by Chinese entities, seeking to protect American businesses and innovations. Cybersecurity. Both have taken measures to address cyber threats from China, including sanctions and indictments against Chinese hackers and entities involved in cyber espionage. On bilateral negotiations, while the tone and approach may differ, both administrations have engaged in bilateral negotiations with China to address various issues, including trade, technology, and security concerns. Both administrations have publicly criticized China's policies and actions on various fronts, from trade practices to human rights violations and territorial disputes, signaling a tough stance on China. In summary, while Trump and Biden have different styles and emphases, their policies toward China share common goals and measures. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell icon to get notified whenever we post new content. Your support means a lot and helps us create more videos like this. Thanks for watching.